Hey everyone, this is 8-Bit Flashback, and today I'm testing out a couple of miniature arcades made by My Arcade. We got Pac Man and Bad Dudes, so let's check these out. So here's a look at Bad Dudes, and I'm really impressed with the packaging with these boxes. It really brings back a nostalgic feeling. The last miniature arcade machine I reviewed was made by Arcade Classics, and that was Rampage. And the box for that was really generic looking. This box has a lot of different artwork, so it's a lot more impressive. And the same thing with Pac Man, there's a lot of great artwork on the box. It really brings back that retro gaming feeling. So both of these are pretty much the same setup. Bad Dudes does have a couple extra buttons right here for punching and kicking, and Pac Man just has a directional pad, that's all that's needed for that. But other than that, it has a lot of the same features. On the back, we have volume control, and then we have a headphone jack, and then a spot for the batteries. It takes 4 AA batteries, but you can also plug that into a micro USB port and power it that way. So that's really nice having that option too. You don't have to have batteries, you can just plug it in there. And same thing for Bad Dudes, we got our volume, headphone, battery, and power plug-in. So here's an up-close look at the artwork on the miniature arcade, and just like the box, they did a great job with all the artwork on this. And we also have another cool feature. We have a joystick here we can use, or you can remove this and just use it as a directional pad. And for Bad Dudes, I'd probably prefer just using the directional pad, but for Pac Man, I would definitely want to use this. And here's the artwork for Pac Man. And all these decals look great. I really like the way this one looks. This is definitely my favorite as far as looks go between the two. Well, let's go ahead and power this up. And I really like the way this glows. That looks really neat. And I believe this is a NES port of Pac Man, which is still a pretty good version. I do like this. It's pretty close to the original. Alright, let's go ahead and start the game. So it is a little bit hard to use this joystick because it's not a true joystick, it's just a D-pad with a joystick attached to it. So my range of movement is limited. So when I'm making my turns, I got to be really precise so I'll miss my turn. But that being said, even when I played Pac Man on regular Nintendo with just using a Nintendo controller, I think I had the same issues. Unless you use a really good joystick, it's just hard to make these turns in Pac Man. See, I just missed. Now I'm dead. So I've been playing this for a few without this attached to the D-pad, and I have to say I definitely like it attached better. It's still playable just using the D-pad, but for me it's much easier just using my thumb to rotate it. So I got these both at Walmart for about 25 bucks, and so far I would say Pac-Man's probably worth that. I'm having quite a bit of fun playing this. It just takes a little bit of adjustment to get used to using this D-pad and becoming accurate with it. But after playing for about an hour or so, I'm kind of used to it and I'm doing just fine. Alright, let's go ahead and check out Bad Dudes and see if it's any good. So this power's on the same with the glowing red lights. And this appears to be a NES port of Bad Dudes also. I recently did a review for Bad Dudes on the Nintendo Switch, and that was an arcade port. So now going back and playing this NES version is a huge difference. The Pac Man version of Nintendo versus the arcade is fairly close, but this one is quite a bit different. So the graphics aren't near as good as the arcade version, but as far as the gameplay goes, it's fairly good. I mean, I'm having more fun than I thought. I thought I was going to be really let down because this isn't the arcade version, but I'm still having fun. So one thing I liked about the arcade version is every time you beat a boss, he'd scream, "I'm bad." I don't think that happens in this one. Does he say it? Nope. So that's my favorite part about Bad Dudes. He says, "I'm bad," and it's gone. So this game being 25 bucks, I don't feel is quite worth it, especially since this is not the arcade port and it's not very close to the arcade port either, unlike Pac Man. I mean, it's 2018, this game came out in the late 80s and we're not able to get an arcade port. Maybe if this is the only version of the game you played, it might be different. Maybe you never played the arcade and the Nintendo version's all you played. Then this might bring back a lot of memories for you and you might actually prefer this. So as far as the D-pad goes, I'm not really having any issues with this game. But there's also not near as much accuracy involved as in Pac Man. And I thought I'd prefer playing this game with just the D-pad and not this joystick attached, but I would say I prefer the joystick attached on this one too. And it might be different for you, you might just prefer using the D-pad, but that's what makes this nice is you have the option to do both. Another thing I like to mention is I've tested out some other miniature arcades in the past, and I've had problems with the viewing angle on the screen. The screen on these is tilted back, so when it's sitting flat on the desk, you can see it pretty decent. There's another miniature arcade I was playing where I actually had to tilt it back just to see the screen, and I thought that was ridiculous. This one can sit flat on the table, and I can still see the screen and play it just fine, so that's a big plus in my opinion. You know what would make both of these even cooler is if there was an LED light that was behind the signs on both of these, just like the original arcade machines. And that's a mod I could do fairly easy, and I'll probably end up doing that in the future. So here's my final thoughts on these mini arcades. I feel Pac Man is worth 25 bucks. I think this thing looks great. It plays pretty decent. The D-pad's not that accurate, but you'll get used to it. Bad Dudes, like I said, it kind of bothers me that this isn't the arcade port. It's still fun to play, but I don't think it's worth 25 bucks. If you're just a collector and you like miniature arcades and you want some decoration for your shelf, these things both look awesome. I mean, the color on them's great, the decals are great. I really like the way they look. Alright guys, I gotta go. If you liked that video, click that like button. If you want to hear more from me, please subscribe. And if you want to help support the channel, you can now find me on Facebook and Patreon. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.